All right, what is up, everybody? Divine Hood here again for a second update of the day. I'm also going to cover some other coins and BTC dominance, really primarily Solana and BTC dominance that were asked for in the chat, in the comment section. So earlier today, I made that video where we were right at that golden pocket. Let me zoom in here of the push up that we saw from Friday morning's double low of the flash crash lows on December 5th. So let me mark that out for you guys here. We had the flash crash lows on Coinbase, the double bottom here Friday morning, very early in the morning, and we pumped up to try to get back within the descending channel or the ascending channel, and we did reject. On the daily, we couldn't hold above. We wicked above it, but we couldn't hold above. And I talked about how we could be coming down. We were coming down to the golden pocket right as I made the video earlier today. But I said that I was leaning a little bit more bearish because of those double bottoms. As you can see now, we're breaking that golden pocket after a very small 1 hourly bounce. We bounced up to the VWAP, and I warned about this. If we bounce up to the VWAP and reject from the VWAP again, so we came down here, we hit into the golden pocket, came up to the VWAP. If we reject from the VWAP again, I said we are most likely going to break the golden pocket and at least come to the 786. Now, we haven't come to the 786 yet, but we're on our way there. And part of the reason I'm looking at that 786 is, remember, on this lower time frame, we're on the 15-minute chart. We're going to create that descending channel from the high that was created on Friday to the next lower high, and we're going to pull it down to the low. You can see the bottom of the channel is in pretty close confluence with the 786. Even if we get a bounce there, I still think it's going to be another lower low before, and then we'll create a lower high maybe at the midline of the channel before coming down to at least take the 92K double bottom lows. If not, come down to 90.6K. I still think that that's the highest probability. Everything in trading is probability, and we're still looking at probability to come down to 92K again to sweep the double lows there, or 90.6K. Really, it would be nice to see some sort of liquidation cascade happen where we sweep both of these at the same time within the same 2 hours. That would be really nice to see. And then we'll monitor the reaction that we get off the swing failure pattern of 90.9682 and see if we can maybe swing failure it, close an hourly above it with some bullish divergences. Then maybe we can continue our way up. So we're going to be looking at that. I'm going to zoom out to the daily chart now, and we're going to look at this key breakdown that's happening. I did talk about this earlier today in the video. Let me get rid of these two things that I just made. First daily candle below the channel, the key ascending channel that we've been in since November 11th, November 12th. We broke the channel. We did the double bottom on Friday, came back up, closed within the channel, but now we had our daily candle below it. We closed the daily below it, and now we're continuing to drop. So this is a sign of weakness on the daily chart for Bitcoin. We can look here. Momentum's not quite bottomed out yet. I do think, though, the way this is starting to look on the daily, if we do swing failure, this 90.6K lows, that might give us enough of a momentum bottom out here for at least a move up to make a lower high. So in that case, I would be looking for that golden pocket pull that I highlighted in earlier today's video. So theoretical fib pull, if we go from the high and we go down to, maybe just right below, 90.39 or even 90K, you can see that golden pocket would be in alignment with the fixed range value pull of the entire ascending channel price action. So this 102 area is going to be a key area for us to be looking for a lower high in the making. So that would look something like this on the brush. Say, over the next couple days, say we get another candle, then we swing failure into the value area low, close the daily candle at or above the value area low of the range, come up to retest, and this could also be the retest of this channel as well. Another bearish backtest, maybe on a higher daily time frame, in confluence with the golden pocket retrace, in confluence with the value area high of that range, and then we might break down. That's too early to tell. We don't know what's going to happen yet. That's just a plan that I'm laying out and speculating on, that if that happens and if I see proper signals, I will be looking for shorts up here if we see confirmation. Okay, so that's my update on Bitcoin. It's just going to be a short one. I'm going to go now to the Bitcoin dominance chart. And the Bitcoin dominant chart is really, really interesting because for the longest time, I think since March of 2023. Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, about March of 2023, we've been trading in this key ascending channel. This is on the daily chart. So this is a highly respected channel on the daily level. You can see how well the midline's been respected. The top's been hit 3 times. We've been trading in this ascending channel on Bitcoin dominance all the way for almost 2 years now, a year and a half at least. Well, just recently, it was in December 5th, that flash crash low, December 2nd, December 5th, we had crashed below. We finally broke the channel to the downside. We came back up on that one day and we bearishly back tested the channel, and you can see we got wicks into the channel, but we couldn't close the dailies. We had a small dip from that. We were able to hold that dip and finally broke above that it back into the channel, broke back up into the channel, but you can see we broke back up in the channel. We came up to the midline of the channel, and now we're starting to see it kind of, we might start to form a range, and we might come back down to the bottom of the channel again and start to hold the bottom of the channel and continue dominance up. So we might do something like this and then continue to maybe, trend in here. And that would mean Bitcoin would be more bullish than some of these alts. So we might see a correction on some of these alts. Another reason why we did correct from this midline here is because if you do a fib pull from the last local high on the daily to the low on the daily, you can see if we pull that over, it is the 786 as well. And on the daily chart, Bitcoin's struggling to get above this local golden pocket. So there was reasons why the Bitcoin dominance rejected from there. We might see another push down on BTC dominance down to the bottom of the channel. That might take a few days to do, so that might mean Bitcoin might get a little bit more of a correction than altcoins, because altcoins are already pretty beat down from that. I'm going to zoom out onto the weekly chart now, and I'm going to cover some things on the weekly chart. So I'm going to go ahead and hide this channel that I just showed you guys on the daily. Now, going back on the weekly chart, I can see something pretty clearly right away. If we take a parallel channel on the weekly chart from one of the last key highs, we bring it to the next key high here. Let's see, right here. All right. Let me zoom in more. Here we go to this high, and then we go to this low here. Now you can see here that Bitcoin, there we go. Let me get that as correct as possible. You can see that we've been trading in this key weekly channel. It's a very slight ascending channel. You could almost call it a parallel channel, parallel horizontal channel. And you can see the midline's been pretty well respected. We've seen wicks past the midline, but overall the midline held, got up there. We kind of had a back test of the midline, failed, finally reclaimed it, came back down, tested it as support, pumped up to the top, and pumped up to the top again, rejected from the top again. We held the bottom of it for many, many weeks. Many, many weeks we were holding kind of this trend. We're not able to close a weekly below this channel. Now we're pumping up to the top again. You can see for a couple weeks here, we got some wicks into the midline, rejected, wick into the midline, rejected. Finally, we're able to flip it. When we flipped it, we're starting to hold it on the weekly. You see some weekly candles above it, started pumping up. And we still have not closed a weekly down below this midline. So once again, how I talked about that other daily descending channel, ascending channel, excuse me, we might see a little correction down to test the bottom of the channel. Well, that correction down might also be to kind of test this midline here, and then we might continue to start to form. What could happen now is if we zoom back in onto the daily chart, we might be starting to form a kind of range in this price action since we reclaim the midline of the channel. So if we go take a fixed range pull, we kind of might be starting to form a range in this area here. And sure enough, you could see the value area high was rejected. That was also the 786 of this move. We might come down to the value area low, which also happens to be this midline here. So that is something we might see. It looks like on daily chart, we're starting to top out on the momentum waves. We might see a little rotation down there. So Bitcoin dominance, I would say Bitcoin is still showing strength against altcoins in the last, week or two. Altcoins have been beat down so hard since December 5th. But we might see Bitcoin dominance start to drop if Bitcoin starts to see a flush and altcoins are already beat down and they're kind of at supports. So speaking of altcoins, let's go now to Solana. And there's a few key things on Solana that I'm watching. Last video I made on Solana, I think it was 5 or 6 days ago, we were trading within this descending channel, And I talked about how that 200 level was key support for the channel. And if we lost it, that was around $200. That was also the golden pocket of this move up from here to here. So if we do golden pocket from here to the top, let's see here, about 196 to 200 was the golden pocket. And we saw that was also aligning with the bottom of the channel here, but we didn't really hold it. We kind of busted straight through it. Actually, we came to the 065, tried to, and broke the channel. You can see on this 4-hour chart, broke the channel, bearishly backtested on the 4-hour, and then we got the flush down. Now, the flush down went to the 786, but it also went to a key pitchfork that we broke earlier in the bull cycle that was a key bullish pitchfork, and we are still holding that. So let me zoom into that. Let me hide this channel now because you can see that we broke the channel down. It's no longer really relevant. Actually, I can delete that now. And I'm going to zoom out back onto the daily chart, and we're going to look at Solana on the daily chart. So we had obviously this key consolidation range here that was the kind of the same range that Bitcoin had. It was Solana's version of the consolidation range, and we're breaking it. But you can see anytime we came to the bottom and retested this pitchfork, you could see that we would on the daily, we would wick below it, but we never closed any dailies below this. 1 test, 2 tests, 3 tests, 4 tests, 5 tests, 6 tests. Now we're up to our 7th test of this pitchfork. If we close a daily within this pitchfork, we might see a bigger flush down to the 150. Remember, I talked about 150 was the next key support for Solana if we crash. And we could do a fib pull from that low to the high that we just created. So 163 is the golden pocket that we haven't reached yet. That is a level to watch because that is also, let's do a range pull on this range here. Yes, it is the value area high of this consolidation range that was that March range all the way through until, you know, November, really. The mid-October, November, we could even pull the range actually to like here before the breakout. Yeah, so you can see that the value area high in alignment with the biggest golden pocket from this low here all the way to the high is at 163 to 168. I would be looking, this would be the first level I'd be interested in buying Solana at now, because if we do close the daily, if you're super bullish on Solana and you want to start DCAing in because you think this pitchfork is going to hold for a 7th time in a row, you can start to think about it. But look at, this is our 7th test of this channel, and you can see that we're starting to open a daily candle below this pitchfork, not channel, excuse me, pitchfork. And so I would expect us to come to the value area high retest of the channel, of the fixed range volume profile of this price action here, of this range consolidation. So anytime we range for a long period of time and you see a breakout, what you want to do is you want to, in a healthy market, oftentimes you will come back to back test those levels, what used to be resistance, and flip it into support and then continue higher. So if Solana is going to continue bullishly, we want to see the 168 level hold. We want to see the bullish back test of this prior range value area high, and we want to continue higher on Solana. If we do break that, the band is around 150, and we had some other key levels there. Now you can also see this bigger pull, the 786, is aligning with the POC around 143, and that is another key level we should be watching. So I'm going to go on to my second Solana chart, and I'm going to show you why. It also, right now, we're coming up to this golden pocket from this pull here. I believe that, yeah, that pull. And that golden pocket at 175 is in alignment with this band. But I would say the bigger, this could be a level where you start DCAing in at 175. But we already touched it. You can see we already touched the 618 here. We did get a decent bounce all the way up back up to 200. But when we rejected 200 after losing it, remember I said 200 was a key support. Well, once we lost it, we came back up to test it as a resistance. Now we did test it as a resistance. We failed, so we're going to drop. So this golden pocket is no longer as important as it used to be because we've already failed the retest of it. So I wouldn't be following this golden pocket so much anymore. I would pull it down to these lows here, and I would follow this golden pocket, which you can see is in better alignment with the bottom of the pitchfork band, where we could see, and then also we have some liquidity resting here, down here at that 155-ish level. So I would start looking around 168. That's going to be a key back test to hold. We can also pull the volume on this range here on this chart to see. This is Bybit. The last one was Binance. But yeah, the value area high is pretty much the same. So this level here at 168 is going to be our first level of support that we're going to be watching to see if we could take a possible swing long or at least a day trade, at least a decent long to make a higher low. So let's say we are going to long 168. We got to come down to 168. So like here, you would see our golden pocket retrace, and it would take some time to come down here, bounce, and then we wouldn't get a straight up move real quickly. So might come down here, chop for a little bit, hit that, come up here, make some lower highs, come up. By the time we come up to it, it's going to be in alignment with that pitchfork midline, the golden pocket, and we might see a lower high, and we might continue down to the 142K, not 142K, 142 level, 143 level, which is where the POC of the range is, and the 786 of the bigger retrace. So that's something I'd be watching for on Solana. Two major levels of support, 168 and 143. 150 to 155 is decent because we do have the liquidity that's resting here from that last little daily low before the big parabolic move up. I would say 168. If 168 doesn't hold, Solana's in trouble. Solana's going to be in some big trouble if that doesn't hold. And even if it does hold, we need to watch for the lower high around 230, 227 to 230. So Solana is looking, it's looking kind of weak here, but we are coming down to support. You do see the momentum waves bottoming out, but money flow does not look good on Solana on the daily. We do not see any bullish divergences on the daily. If this was a key swing position, we would want to see at least some divergences. We could, when we get down there, we could go to zoom into the 4-hour chart to be looking for 4-hour bullish divergences, which we might be seeing actually. So right now we're already possibly developing those bullish divergences. So say Bitcoin kind of flushes down to that 90.6, Solana flushes down to 168. We come down here, and then we start to bounce. You would see lower lows on the price action. You'd see higher lows on the 4-hour momentum indicator. Hopefully by then we would see some sort of sign that money flow is bottomed out and starting to curve back up. And if we see that, that is a sign for me that I would be willing to long this. Put your stops below the lows that were made. Obviously, you'd wait just a little bit. Why did I do that? Okay, there we go. And you could long that. You could look for a long there. So we are starting to see some possible signs of bullish divergence there at that key time frame. Let me zoom back out to the daily chart. I would say, and also look at this 786 here is in really nice alignment with the bottom of the pitchfork too as well. If we do say Bitcoin's going to see a larger crash, maybe we swing failure 90.6, but then we make a lower high pretty quickly and then continue down. We could see, like what often happens in these channels, we chop for a little bit. Maybe we hit the golden pocket, but we only come up to the top of the pitchfork band and reject it again. Then we come down and we hit the bottom of the pitchfork in confluence with this multi-month range POC, in confluence with the 786, and then we could see the push up. That is something to be watching for. Right now, I would say 168 would be the level of support that I'm watching for. I don't know if we're going to get a bounce where we're at now. We do need a little bit lower to hit the value area high of this range. Yeah, I could say we could do a pull from just this last daily low here to the high. And we're at the 786 now. So the 786 is trying to hold. You can see we've had wicks below it, 3 wicks on 3 consecutive days. To me, that's kind of a bearish signal. Usually the 786, if you want to see it hold, you want to see it maybe wick below on one daily, but close the daily strong and start to see a bounce. Because we've seen 3 wicks in a row, let me zoom into this so you can get a better look at this. 1 wick here. Okay, this daily, we did get the initial good bounce, but rejected from 200, which was our old resistance. Also, if you look here, our prior lows on this little range, we rejected from. So these were prior lows. We broke those lows to the downside, and then we flipped it to resistance. We came up, we hit it, now we're rejecting from those prior lows. So that is telling me that Solana is still showing weakness. So we really want to see, because 200 was this double bottom here. We had a wick low here, double the liquidity to take. We didn't take it. We broke through it. We broke down to the 786, came back up, tested that now as resistance, confirmed that to resistance. Now we're dropping. So 168 is the lowest number I would be looking to long Solana on, or the highest number that I'd be looking to long Solana on. If we do start to turn around from here, it's going to be a shame. I just will miss the trade, and that's okay. You don't catch every trade. If we even see a small bounce from here, you could go like zoom in onto the 1 hourly chart here. Let's see. So I do see that Solana's starting to form a little bit of a range here. So if we do like a fixed range pull from present to like these lows here, and you can see it's holding the value area low of this range. If we come up to the value area high again, right now we're at the POC. So say that on this 1 hour chart, Solana can over the next day or two flip this to support, work our way up to the value area high, maybe take the liquidity of this high here that we saw, and then once we take the liquidity there, close an hourly candle below that, come up, wake up, take the, and then continue down to 168, and then continue higher. So just that's like intraday stuff that you want to be looking at. Remember, it's a low volume holiday week. A lot of people are taking this entire week off of trading, like the big dogs. So just be aware. We can form ranges. You could pull a range like this as well. And this range, if we pull this range, we could look at the fib retrace. Yeah, so the golden pocket's right above that value area high. You could even come up to 192, wick into the golden pocket, but close it at the value area high and then see the reversal. We'll just be paying attention to Solana to see what it does. But I would say 168. 168 is a really good level to be watching on Solana for a possible support to bring it up back to this midline, or and by that time the midline would be at, I think it was 230 if we zoom back out onto the daily. So yeah, about 230ish or so. And that would be a few days. So that, maybe a couple weeks or so would take that time to get down there, flip it to support, and then work our way up. That would be after the holidays are over. Maybe bullish sentiment is back for the new year. We do know a lot of big hedge funds and firms are doing their rebalancing at the end of the year. So they're selling off, taking profits for the year. Then when the new year opens in January, they'll rebalance their portfolios. They might start buying more crypto. And that's when we could see the bounce. So that's pretty much what I got for Solana here. I didn't cover too much low time frame stuff. Low time frame, especially on holiday weekends where it's lower volume, that can be a little bit dicey. So just be careful with this stuff, guys. Be patient. Wait for the best trade setups. Let the market come to you. You don't chase the market. If you can continually chase the market, that's how you'll get wrecked. Other than that, I don't see much for Solana. Let me hide this pitchfork here and let me look at a couple other things. Yeah, we did have this pretty good ascending channel that we were breaking, or you could even call it like just a trend line, from this low here, and you could pull it to here. Okay, actually, we're at this kind of trend that we're seeing here. So if we do break this, that's might be the reason why we've closed 3 wicks like at the 786 and a little bit below it, but we're not breaking it yet because this is a trend that is still holding. So as long as this holds, we might see a bounce to make a lower high and then come down to 168. But I would say 168 is the level to watch, not where we're at now. If you really are bullish and you think that Bitcoin's going to turn around and hold, not take 92 or 90K out, then you could start buying at this line here and then maybe, take profit at the 2, you could even do a fib pull and take profit at the 382, which is usually acts as resistance or support in a strong trend. So the 382 is 209, and that also happens to be, so if I'm going to zoom in onto the 4-hour chart. If we take a range pull of just this, like this range that we were in, this kind of head and shouldery range. So the value area low is a little bit below the 382, but we don't see much confluence there. Let's do this. Yeah, I would say, actually, we could bring it to here before the breakdown. Yeah, it's still same value area. So I would just be watching, watching for a small bounce. But even if now that you can also pay attention to this value area low, because if we do see a small bounce from here and we come back up to the value area low and reject the value area low, that's going to be a sign that we could come down to 168. And then if we break, and that also would be breaking this trend. So that's something to watch for on Solana. That's something to watch for on BTC dominance. Gave you guys the update on Bitcoin. Let's see, Ethereum here. Ethereum still just looking for the swing failure pattern into this, 2950 to 3000 level. Now you can see Ethereum is starting to lose that pitchfork band that I was showing in earlier today's video. Now that we're losing the band, so we lost the band, came back up for a back test, couldn't get back in, came back up for a second back test, couldn't get back in. Now we're coming back up for a third back test. If we reject it a third time, I do think we're going to continue down. This is going to have to depend on what Bitcoin does here. We got to see if Bitcoin makes the lower low into that 786. Actually, we can check that real quick because Bitcoin's been dropping a bit while I've been on the video. Let's go here. Let's go here to here. Okay, so let's go to the JC Pocket. Yeah, so we hit the 786. Sure enough, guys, hit the 786 and we're bouncing. That is a good, that's kind of a good sign. I would still just wait for a lower high because the 786 was also the bottom of this descending channel that we just created, this intraday descending channel. And we might see it, you know, hold here, and we might see a move up to the top of the channel and then continue back down. We'll just have to wait and see. You know, let's tune in tomorrow. I'll try to make a video tomorrow. I do have family down tomorrow. It's going to be a pretty busy day for me, but I hope this helps. You guys have a good Christmas. Happy holidays.